boosting agent performance with the latest technology and tools. What's going on, world? I'm your girl, Marky Lemons Rowell, and I'm elated to be here today with an esteemed panel of people who believe in technology and prop tech tools. We're going to talk today about how you can up your real estate game this year leveraging technology. And I am elated to have this session sponsored by none other than Jay Rooney. Jay Rooney is here with Deposit Link. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, Marky. Thanks for having me. We're thrilled to be sponsoring this event today.
Well, we are elated to have you. How are real estate professionals leveraging your tool in their businesses right now?
Well, Marky, Deposit Link is a market-leading digital payments platform specifically built for the residential real estate industry. Our value proposition is that we eliminate the inefficiencies and liabilities historically caused by paper checks and bank wires in our industry. We have workflows that allow real estate agents, their brokerages, title companies, attorneys, anyone moving money in a real estate transaction, whether it be for sales, talking about earnest money and commissions, or rentals, talking about first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposits, rental commissions. They can do that all in one platform with Deposit Link. And again, eliminate those real inefficiencies and liabilities that paper checks and bank wires cause real estate brokerages, title companies, and attorneys. The best way to think of Deposit Link is Venmo for real estate, but on steroids.
Oh, I love that. Venmo for real estate, but on steroids, and let us get back our time and our energy. We're also joined today by none other than Donnie Sampson, who is here today to let us know how his company is leveraging technology, and Chip Murphy. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing well. Great to be here, Marky.
Well, you know what? When we think about leveraging technology, the first thing that comes to mind for me is a workflow or a tech stack that real estate professionals can leverage in order to be more efficient. Donnie, can you share with me a workflow or tech stack that your company is leveraging right now?
Absolutely. So, we have a couple different ones that we offer to all of our agents here at Sampson. We offer Bold Trail, which used to be KB Core. A lot of people have heard of Inside Real Estate, and Bold Trail, they've kind of rebranded. And we also do Lofty, which used to be called Chime. Everybody's changed their names nowadays, I guess, to rebrand. But I think that what we've done is we just think that the tech stacks and having a website and have a CRM are so important. It's so important to be organized technology. Like, technology is never going to take us over, but we want to teach at Sampson that agents have to use technology to improve that consumer experience and to improve the relationship between you and the consumer. So, we started with Bold Trail 5 years ago now, and then we added Lofty a couple years ago because we want to have different flavors for everybody. Not everybody, our agents can always find their own thing, but for us, we want to have great systems people can plug into and then help train them to use them effectively. So those are our two kind of our main tech stacks that are websites, CRM, all the bells and whistles from A to Z that we promote for our agents here.
I believe that every real estate agent definitely needs to leverage their customer relationship management system. One of my favorite tech stacks right now is leveraging AI. We leverage ChatGPT, the paid version, which is $20 per month, and then a tool called Mid-Journey in order to create images. And we kind of toggle between Studio DID and HeyGen to take those images and turn them into talking head videos. And what I encourage real estate agents to do is to put out 1,066 words of valuable content per day for every $100,000 they want to earn. And most real estate agents, because I know that Donnie, you also believe in video just like I do, a 1-minute video is the value of 1.8 million words. Therefore, if they're putting out a video every single day, they're building a $1.8 million business, essentially, whether they know it or not. Well, Chip, can you provide us with, yeah, it is, look, video is king for the ability to be able to repurpose content. And I was thinking about the consumer the other day. Video we can repurpose to our podcast, our blog post, our email marketing, but I want people to start thinking about those neurodivergent learners and how many ways can you repurpose that content. Chip, can you provide your number one go-to tool in order to save time, and how would you leverage the extra time?
I'll give you two of them, Marky. So first, I'm going to piggyback off of what you were just saying, and might not be the most creative response, but ChatGPT is without a doubt number one tool. I use it every single day. I encourage anyone who's on this call who's not using it every day, get familiar with it. The more you use it, the more it gets to know your style, how you operate. It has just been a game changer for me. I think if I had one regret, it's that I didn't use it soon enough. And it's business and personal. An example of what I was just using it for this weekend, I was working with one of our agents on creating the succession plan. She's starting to think about retirement. So I had all the ideas in my head, but I wanted some structure around it. And so I thought, let me put all of those ideas into ChatGPT, and it spit out some clear structure and guidelines. And so now we're working from that. So using that as a baseline, anytime I'm having brain fog, I am probably more of a writer than a lot of people. So sometimes I write emails that are like essays, and I ask ChatGPT to make them more concise. For fun too, outside of work. I was at a restaurant the other day, and if I drink red wine, I typically will drink California Reds. I was at an Italian restaurant, all they had were Italian Reds. So I took a screenshot of the menu, uploaded it to ChatGPT, and I said, give me your recommendation on which wine I should order here. And so it gave me the two to stick near, one to stay away from, and review. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
The other tool that I use more regularly now as well is called Otter AI. So that's note taking for any of my in-person meetings. If I go to any seminars, it'll record a transcript of any of the speakers, summarize it. Really similar to what I use for video calls, which is Fathom AI.
You know what? I love Otter AI, and people think it's a new tool, but we've been using Otter as a plug-in to Zoom since 2019. So AI isn't new, it's built into almost every single tool that we're using. But because you're down in the great state of Florida, how many different languages do you believe are in your immediate marketplace?
Oh gosh, several. I mean, a lot of our clients here are investors from out of the country. So we have people from France and Spain and South America. So I couldn't guess, but I'd say many.
Many. And the great thing about the tools that you've leveraged in your company is the ability to translate into all these different languages so that your agents can serve their clientele better and can now write email follow-ups in that person's preferred spoken and reading language. That's a joy.
Totally.
Jay, how can a real estate broker leverage and deposit link? uh, how can they leverage that to save time in additional ways in a transaction?
Well, if you think about hypothetically, take a rental transaction, for example, right? An agent who might be, renting an apartment to or leasing an apartment to a couple of different roommates who are located maybe in another city. The time and effort it would take to collect payments from those tenants and get them to a landlord or get them to their brokerage, historically with checks or wires or money orders, versus being anywhere with deposit link and requesting those payments and directing them to where they need to go. We're talking about reducing the effort from days to minutes, literally. And the beauty of it is deposit link allows the agent, the consumer, the finance admins and brokers at these companies to track these payments in real time. So there's never a time where you're wondering where that payment is, right? Like the checks in the mail story can never happen with deposit link. And we have security measures in place to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to go in one business day. So the same applies to sales. If you're requesting an earnest money payment from somebody locally or in another, state, you can do that in a matter of seconds from your phone, track that payment in real time. Finance admins know what the payment's for, who it's from, the agent involved in the deal, and they can reconcile in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I love that. Anything that can save us time and gas, especially when it comes to premium gas costs today. So I have a question and anybody can chime in. How has your company automated for efficiency? Donnie, we'll let you start.
So, we have 6,000 agents now. So I think that yeah, it's a few. But the amount of questions, the amount of things that go on with a company like us, we went through this company called Zendesk, and we created our own help desk. So we've been able to create our own system inside, because it's not just like, well, look, if you need a broker question, I always call a broker and talk. But when it comes to like how to deal with this issue or this issue or this issue, having an automated help desk where people can get their answer in seconds, because it's probably a question that's been asked lots of times, or it redirects it to the right staff member to get it answered immediately. So we've been able to automate a help desk, which has been fantastic for the efficiency of our company. We've been able to really use a lot of different accounting softwares and obviously CRM management within our company that's really been able to make us a ton more efficient. We have an intranet website we call our Cardinal Nest, which is like our home for everything, and everything's in one system. So you can say, give me this, and it pulls up everything we need, or give me this postcard, or give me this location, or give me this. So it really is so efficient to be able to kind of leverage everything into one website, into one search bar, so that agents can go in and ask their question, and they're going to either get the answer right away or get directed directly to the right staff member amongst all of our company to get them the answer they need right away. So efficiency is something that's so important, and that the more as we've leveraged and grown, becoming more efficient has been instrumental in trying to make sure we're serving our realtors the best way possible within our system.
Jay, do you have any recommendations on automations that real estate professionals can use as a result of Deposit Link? If I was going to take it to the next level.
Outside of Deposit Link, you mean?
Well, if I have Deposit Link coming in, the example that you gave was about, I'm a parent of a college student, right? I sent in my 1/4, right? But as a real estate agent, now that we have that, how can we even automate that more on the back end for maybe the next time we do business with them? Are you seeing any people use tools like maybe Zapier or Make.com to automate that payment, to make it disperse and provide information to other systems?
Yeah, so we have a recurring payments feature as well. So landlords can collect rent every month using our system, which is obviously great, right? 82% of millennials don't own a checkbook. The generation younger than them, I don't know what percentage it is, but I find
it's not higher.
Yeah, I find it hard to
low.
Yeah, my kids are teenagers and they don't know what a checkbook is. They don't know what a newspaper is, right? So it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when that digital payments, these other tools become standard practice in our business, and it's happening faster than I think a lot of agents realize, that these tools aren't an option anymore. They're a necessity to position yourself as a tech savvy, forward thinking agent working for a tech savvy, forward thinking company.
I have a 18-year-old and it's all about Apple Pay. No, he does not have checks. Here's the thing. They don't even have a signature because they weren't taught penmanship, right? So now that he's going to college, he was like, Mom, what am I supposed to do? I don't know how to sign my name. And I'm like, oh, I failed you. I failed you, right? But your technology, right, allows to automate that payment because they don't have a checkbook. And I hate to admit this, I still do have checks, right? But I use them. I doubt if I'm on check number 200 at this point, right, on a 10-year-old account, because we're just simply not leveraging checks anymore, which means that your tool is even more needed now than ever before.
So,
Chip,
Marky, not to interrupt you, Marky,
I order checks. He's the youngest one in here. Chip, do you have a checkbook?
No
I
way.
do not have a checkbook. I used to. I had a
Yes.
checkbook for probably a decade. I no longer do. If I need a check, I go to the bank and they print me a sheet of 4 checks.
Get out of here. Now, you know what's interesting? When we're dealing with municipalities, some of them still require a check. So if I'm doing business with the state of Illinois or the city of Chicago, my husband will laugh at me. He's like, why are you getting your checkbook? I said, I promise you, they take checks. And lo and behold, some of them still take a check. But I love deposit link because it's helping me as a parent. And when this youngest one goes away to college, I could see me working with the other parents through deposit link.
And Marky, I was going to make the point, we do live trainings for all our clients. So the brokers, finance admins, agents join a live training. And sometimes we have agents who aren't necessarily tech savvy. They like to take it one tool at a time. They might be older. And when we were building this platform, my kind of rule for the engineering team was if it takes more than 10 seconds to understand, then we got to redo it, right? And so, you know, they love the fact that it's user friendly, but once they start using it, they don't go back, right? And these are agents who might be in their, 70s and 80s who have been collecting checks and driving around, delivering checks for years. We're talking for decades. So, I think Donnie made this call the last time we talked, that you don't want to drink from a fire hose when it comes to technology, but don't be afraid to embrace tools that are going to make you more efficient.
That is true. Chip, how is your company leveraging technology to retain agents?
So I think first, as a broker, you really have to be curious and willing to look at new technologies. It's something that we're often kind of afraid of, and technology and AI, it's such a broad term. So one thing that we're doing is looking at our entire tech stack, determining new tools and technologies that are out there that we might not know about or not have in the fold. But one particular tool focused on retention that our leadership team uses is Courted, C-O-U-R-T-E-D. Probably a lot of brokers who are on this call are maybe familiar with it or current customers. But it's essentially a CRM, an agent database that gives us all of our agents and any agent in the MLS. When you're speaking of the retention side, it shows our agents 10-year trend line history, any of their active listings, current activity. It gives us prompts to reach out. I think when you think of retention, it's making sure people are feeling valued and making sure that you're communicating with them. And so giving us those prompts, whether it's an agent's first listing with our company, their highest career sale, any of the agents who are leading the market more so than some of their competitors, giving us those reasons to reach out that of course we know, but they're not always top of mind when you're doing a million things at once. So that's really helped us improve efficiency, has an AI component into it that can help craft text messages and emails and whatnot. So again, I think that our industry is very much, there's that personal touch that's required. But this technology gives us really the best of both worlds, makes us more efficient, and helps us with the prompts to do that reach out.
Donnie, is there anything additional your company is doing in order to retain your agents?
Oh, I think it's so important, and Chip hit some good points there. One that I love that we do that's a little bit different is it's an app called Showing Team. So I'm just giving them some shine here out of nowhere. But a lot of people can have interoffice stuff like this, but we've used Facebook groups and message boards before. But Showing Team's an app where, like, if I wanted to show a house at 6:30, but I got a kid, my kid has a varsity lacrosse game tonight. I don't want to show a house no matter what. Like, I'm not missing this game, but somebody's got to see a house. And the first thing that rushes over an agent, right, is, anxiety. Like, how am I going to serve both masters? My kid's game I want to go to, and so, the best part about being a realtor is you don't have a boss. But the worst part about being a realtor is you don't have a boss, but your clients end up being your boss, and they dictate when your schedule is. So now our app, you can say, hey, can somebody help me out show this house tonight? I'll pay them $25, or I'll owe you a favor, or whatever. And within 2 minutes, somebody has claimed that. It puts anybody in that area. They claim the job. They help each other out. It's a win-win. You wake up sick as a dog at Sunday morning, you can't do your open house. You push out one thing and it pushes everybody in that area. And there's probably people out there dying to do an open house. They didn't have an opportunity. So I think people, once they get in, they love that app with us. One big thing that I'm another app that I really love that we're partners with is Real Scout. And look, whether it's Real Scout or something similar to it, I'm a big proponent of you have to control or partner with your buyer in the search process. You have to create a collaborative environment. I think every time you send your buyer a search of listings from the MLS and say, here's what's available in Centerville for $500,000, if you don't give them the ability to search and partner with you in an app or in an environment that works for both of you, then you're giving an invitation to date other people. And why I say that is because what are they going to do? They're going to go to the portals. They're going to go to Zillow or Realtor.com or Homes.com, and they're all great websites. The problem is I don't want my clients going there because they're going to meet other people, right? They're going to find somebody smarter, funnier, and prettier than I am to go show them houses. And I often ask our agents to reflect if they look back a year or two and they think, okay, I met 25 people last year and sent them emails through the MLS. How many of them bought homes with you? And let's say it was 6 for argument's sake. Well, we like to say, well, those other 19 just didn't buy homes. But to me, some of those 19 bought a home, just unfortunately not with you. And that's the problem, is because we lose that relationship. And this is kind of my big push nowadays is this with tech is, look, we can use it to all the bells and whistles but we have to use it closer to our clients. Or else the world will become eBay for homes because they'll use the personal touch between you and your realtor. So I think if we can use tech to enhance that relationship and offer tools to our agents to help them make that partnership, then we're going to help them a long way towards doing that. So those are a couple of the things I love, when it comes to retention. I'll do one more, and I know I got to move on here, but we're really big on video. Like you said before, Marky, internally, we tape a lot of great things here in video. This background is one of them where we do some of our videos, and we put everything on something called Sampson University. So we're doing fresh videos all the time, multiple times a week on trends. And I think that that's really important because realtors can't get to the office, so they're not going to come into every in-person training as much as you try. But if you can do fresh, really good looking videos, and not only to the outside public, like you talked about before, Marky, but to our agents for retention, if they're getting really high quality trainings and beautiful videos and interactive Zooms and in-person trainings, then they're going to feel like they're staying up to date. This real estate world has been moving at such a pace with this rule and this rule and this thing. And, some of the things we're not diving into today, but the more that we can educate and stay connected to everybody, the better. So we do a lot of video and a lot of put them up on Sampson University and within our nest to keep everybody connected.
You know what? For me, we communicate every single day with our agents via the internet system, via the private Facebook group, via text messaging. And so I believe in overkill. I've had agents tell me, we would appreciate if we didn't receive a message every day. I said, then you complain about we don't communicate enough, right? And so you get the ability to filter these messages, right? But one thing for me, when I came into the world of real estate, I came in because I didn't want to go back to school again. And I was under the impression I would come in, I would learn this skill set, and it would last me for a lifetime. Well, we know those days are over. So to me, in order to retain agents, brokers like yourself, right, we're committed to being lifelong learners. We know that tomorrow is not going to look like yesterday. And when we look at this consistent rate of change in technology, and I look at what we can do with AI today versus 2 years ago, my head hurts, right? So as brokers, it's our responsibility to be committed to being lifelong learners, but we have to show up at training side by side. To me, when the broker shows up and the top producer shows up, it encourages every other agent in that company to come and get that information. And I look at the changes that occurred in 2024, and the number one thing that an agent could have done for themselves, at least ever since what was that, August the 17th, is what is your unique selling proposition and what value do you bring to the real estate transaction? That means we got to arm them with all these new resources. When I look at the fact that more houses have a pet today than they have children, we now need to have the first question on our buyer representation agreement is not the same question it used to be, just due to these changes. So we're always looking to retain those agents once we get them. But now I want to know, but what are we doing to attract new agents? So Donnie, we'll start with you. What are you doing? You got them and you keep them,
This is my
but
favorite.
how you get them to
This is
come
my
on over
passion.
there?
I love, but obviously, I mentioned having 6,000 agent support. We do a lot of recruiting here at Sampson, and I use a lot of technology to deal with my great team here, but we do a lot of video. Like you said earlier, a minute of video is what 1.8 million words. We've got commercials that I tape all the time, and we do it for events. We do in-person events, recruiting events every week. Actually, somewhere between 2 and 3 every single week. But we use the video commercials that we do to social media. We're using those to market. We're doing Google ads to market them. We're doing direct email to do them. And nowadays the analytics is so smart. Just because somebody works at an office in a certain city, that might not be where they actually do business. So if we've got, I have 39 offices all over, and then when I'm opening in offices and we've got an event going on in a certain city, we're able to use analytics to say, okay, this person might say their office is over here, but they actually do all their work over here. So I'm going to market to all the people that actually work around this office, and I might be a great option because now I have this office where their home base is. So we use analytics to show where people are, where they're actually conducting business, and maybe give them a better option. Make sure we're marketing to them when we have events or new offices in there. So we do a lot of video marketing. We do use that as analytics. When people click on stuff, you're doing the remarketing, over and over again. So we've got a whole Join Sampson page that people can go to. So we've been open. I think that we've always been open to video, but especially once the pandemic hit, I would do weekly live recruiting trainings, and I think I just really kind of put it on overdrive since then, where it's like, look, let's use video, let's use the power of the ability that agents want to see what's going on, but maybe they don't want to be seen quite yet. So video is the best way that you can kind of let them see behind the covers and see what's going on with your company. So I think everybody's afraid to kind of say what's going on because they want to get that in person. But my has been, so many agents want to put their toe in the water, and they want to learn about your company as much as possible. It's like consumers, right? Consumers we want to do as much research as possible before we actually call somebody. So we kind of let agents do that. So we've been really big on video, email, social, all the things, and I think that's really helped our recruiting efforts, big time. We have about 115 to 125 agents join us every month, and a lot of that is because of the onslaught of recruiting and the technology that we're doing to leverage that.
That's great growth, Donnie. Now, Jay, before you started Deposit Link, you were a top producer, you were a broker owner. Okay, so from now as a prop tech company, if you were to give us advice based on working with so many agents across the country, what can we do better to attract more agents?
Well, I think agents are much more aware of what they're getting for their splits now. When I got started in the business, they kind of understood, that you were paying rent or whatever operational costs you had to pay for brick and mortar, right? And then you were putting ads in newspapers. This is going back quite a ways. But now, an agent that's on, let's say, a 75-25 split, they want to know, if I'm giving you a quarter for every dollar I make, what am I getting? Am I getting the technology tools that allow me to be more efficient and compete? Am I getting a brand image that I want to put my name under, right? I mean, all that stuff is kind of forced brokerages to take a look and say, okay, am I positioned well in the marketplace to attract these top producing agents, right? With technology, with a brand, with advertising, with all the thing training. I mean, training is crucial. I mean, Donnie, if you're attracting 100 to 125 agents a month, I got to believe a lot of them are new to the business, right? And need either a mentor or training to be successful. So, I would just say, brokers need to take a hard look at what they're offering if they're a conventional, model where it's not 100% split or 99% split or whatever some of these discount brokerages offer. You got to take a look at what you're offering.
Definitely believe we have to take a look at what we're offering. We have to consistently do SWOT analysis, looking at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And a lot of people think it's AI is a threat. And AI to me just actually allows us to enhance or provide more of whatever that singular thing that we were doing in the marketplace. We provide a lot of hands-on training at our company, doing video training and then face-to-face events, because I'm seeing that agents really they need a hug right now, right? We've been through a lot in the last couple of years. No, they really do. They want to be embraced. They want to be hugged. And if you still go back and look at our business, and I believe 100% in being in the palm of the hand of the consumer, right? Because they're not looking at bus benches, they're not looking at billboards. Everybody's in their car still looking down today at this mobile device. We want to be in the palm of the hand, but it's still when we get that belly to belly that we're going to get that highest conversion. When I'm hugging on people and whispering in their ear, that's going to give me my greatest return on any of my time ever spent. But when next week comes about and you don't recall my name, I need to pop up online so you could be, oh yeah, Marky, right? So we want to be visible online and in the palm of the hand of the consumer and the real estate agent for retention and attraction at all times. And we tell them what to do, but as brokers, we have to do it ourselves. We can't be hypocrites, especially when we're talking about adult learners. So
Well,
what's one
Marky, first
thing?
of all, I don't think
Yes,
anybody's forgetting you.
but look, tell people, if you forget what I do, we got a problem. Okay. Somebody told me, well, Marky, you're the world's greatest self promoter. Call it what you want to call it. I need you to remember Marky Lemons Rowell. I say it time, and you might not know how to spell it. Okay. But I want you to remember Marky Lemons Rowell. You got that right, Donnie. So let me ask you this one thing. What could a real estate agent do right now today that you believe will allow them to get 1 hour of their time back?
I'll jump in here. Okay,
Yes,
one
Tim.
is something I've already said. Use ChatGPT. You're going to save at least an hour. And then the other is maybe somewhat of the opposite of the conversation we're having, which is find a bit of time to put this down. I am always wanting to be connected to our agents, and how I do that a lot of the time is going on social media and seeing what they're up to and going on Facebook and Instagram to connect with them. And I often find that when I plan to be on there for a couple minutes, more minutes have gone by and then I'm doom scrolling. So that's part of what I'm trying to do, is set certain app limits. If there are any of those apps that I feel that while I go on there to be more efficient or to check the boxes on my list, I'm staying on it for other reasons that are just kind of mindless. So that's one piece. But ChatGPT, and as I mentioned, just be more open-minded about embracing technology.
Bonnie, I know you know how they could save an hour of their time. What would you tell them to do?
Well, agents, I would agree with the same thing that Chip was saying. And I was thinking from a broker's perspective is that, you have to time block, but that also works for agents. Like, you will save an hour of your time if you focus on time blocking your stuff. And that goes with putting the phone down too, right? Chip is a powerful tool, but using ChatGPT, but it's like, okay, maybe using ChatGPT to help organize your schedule, but it's like from 10 to 11, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to put this aside, whatever, barring an emergency, it's going to be there at 11, but I'm going to be so much more efficient, because if we sit down to work and we do stuff, and somebody walks in and asks this, and then somebody calls about this, or I get doom scrolling, we realize we woke up 2.5 hours later and we haven't gotten done the objectives that we wanted to get to. So I think it's so important to have certain goals, block them out, and have things that you're doing. I think that if I'm an agent right now, the thing that you have to do is stay connected to your clients in a consistent way. And the stats change every year, but NAR will tell us that 91% of people like their realtor and want to use that realtor again, and then 13% of people use the same realtor next time. That's the stat that I wish people had drilled in my brain when I was a 22-year-old realtor and got my license, because Why do they not use you again? Because they forget who you are. So simple stuff like time blocking that from 9 to 10, like you said, Mark, you don't forget who I am. You know, from 9 to 10 a.m., I'm going to call 5 people. I'm not going to pick up my phone to anything else. I'm going to put the rest of them do not disturb, or I'm going to, whatever I'm going to do, but I'm going to call these 5 people. I'm going to email these 5, like set up your CRM to go through a rotation. And I'm going to call these 5 people every day, or these 3 people to connect. And all of a sudden you can get through 300 people, you know, every 100 days or whatever the number is for you. So if you can get through 100 people a month, then you're going to get people every quarter, every 4 or 5 months, and you stay top of mind. Obviously, building in market snapshots and building other technological things to make sure you're connecting with them on a different way. But just a time block and to use CRMs and to use systems to be more organized will improve your business light years. And keeping that 9113 thought in the back of your mind, I think is.
I want to see if you're going to say what I think you're going to say, Donnie. What tool do you believe is the most underutilized tool that an agent has in their arsenal? I want to see if you're going to say what I think. Most
Oh wow,
underutilized.
most underutilized tool. Oh, probably well, I think it's the phone to pick it up and actually talk to people. I think that it's probably not what you think, Marky. Maybe it is, but I think we rely. Look, texting and emailing is efficient and it makes people know that we're there for them and we can be quick to it. The reason you said belly to belly sport, real estate's and sales is a contact sport, and the building of relationships and having people trust you is the most important thing you can do. And if you pick up the phone and actually talk to people, you're going to build that connection. You know, a 5-minute phone conversation is worth 30 emails back because we hear each other's voice, we connect. People on the recruiting team is like, well, I emailed them and they haven't called back. And it's like, just pick up the phone and talk to the person. Like, you can build that relationship so much more. If I pick up the phone and talk to a person I've been going back and forth with on email, you know, it moves the conversation along light years and that relationship's built. So I think the phone it's crazy enough. And the millennials that don't have checkbooks don't like to talk to people on the phone either. But it makes such a profound impact, I think, when you do.
So, Donnie, I was thinking the customer relationship management system, which would then tie back, right? Essentially
Yes.
to doing, you got to
Yes.
communicate some kind
Similar
of way.
thing.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jay,
Same
did
thing.
you have
Same
anything
thing.
you
But
wanted to
going that
add?
extra yard to make it personal.
Yeah, going that extra yard. Jay, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you know, the obvious answer is using tools that are going to make you more efficient. But I would agree with these guys. You know, if you keep a calendar and, you know, you're consistent about, you know, meeting your tasks and objectives and doing things on time, you'll save a lot of time. You know, if you put it in your calendar that you're going to prospect from 9 to 11 and you put your phone down other than making calls and sending emails and texts and not searching, you know, Instagram and other platforms, you're going to save a ton of time.
One way that I was able to get 1 hour of my time back is through the Chat GPT projects. And then also each person can have up to 10 Chat GPT tasks. So automating that marketing, what's my unique selling proposition? What am I going to share every single day? And when I wake up, it's already completed with the set of written instructions or prompting which I gave it. And so since I set up projects and tasks, oh my goodness, I'm saving so much time when we start looking at the redundant aspect of our business because AI can perform the top of the funnel, right? It can really get down to scheduling that appointment that allows us to show up more and build those relationships. When you look at that whole marketing, just the top of the funnel, we're able to leverage AI to do that and then pick up that telephone and call and build those rapport. We're all in different marketplaces, but Chip, what do you believe brokers need the most right now based on your marketplace?
I think one would be a focus on education. That's both for brokers and for agents. I think as you look around the country, there are some markets that are starting to change. You know, I look at ours here in Florida, and some others like Texas and perhaps parts of Arizona. are kind of those first markets to be going back to a balanced market or even a buyer's market. So I think it's knowing your data, using technology to understand that data. One thing that I found is super important is taking off your real estate hat and putting on the consumer hat, because they often think very differently. When they're watching the news, sometimes that's what's going on in the real estate market in general. So if you're in Florida, you're watching just general news, it might talk about continued low inventory and need for new construction, whereas we have different challenges here. And really drilling down into the micro markets as well. If I look in Sarasota County, there are certain neighborhoods that have lower days on market and properties are selling, relatively quickly, and there are others that have significant inventory. So I think focus on education, focus on getting back to basics, and just what we're talking about here, using technology to make yourself and your business run more efficiently.
What about you, Donnie? What do they need right now?
So I think brokers, a twofold answer. One, to run your brokerage, I think you need to make sure you find systems that talk to each other and make your life easier as a broker. I think when you go to try to leverage and grow, so many brokers have a tough time when they go to leverage and grow because their systems are too clunky and there's too many things they have to touch, right? When we talk about how do you want to, recruit agents and help agents succeed, it's twofold. It's like, do you know your own unique selling proposition as a brokerage? Would you join your brokerage based on what you're spitting out there, or are you trying to convince yourself? You have to look at it from that angle. But when you talk about helping agents succeed, it's all the things Chip said. Them to educate them, and help to meet them where they're at. And agents what's the average? Or change every year. 57, 58 years old is the average. Like, they're afraid of technology. So my big thing is, we want to introduce them simple to not to overwhelm them, but also say, look, how do you eat an elephant? How do you do this whole thing? You eat it one bite at a time. So we've got trainers here that'll say, look, 101 is today, 201 is tomorrow, or 202, but constantly giving those opportunities to help people grow bite by bite, because without not scaring real shit. Like, if somebody watches this webinar and they hear 15 different things thrown out, it's like, I can't do all these things, so I just give up, and I'm just gonna stick with my 5 people, my referral, and that's fine. But learning a system, and I always say, look, learn one system this month and try to get it going, and then let's set something up. On June 1st, you're gonna introduce something else to your business, and then so it's not overwhelming. Maybe there's 5 things you want to do, but give yourself a reasonable time frame. So I think those things are important, is to system that can help agents succeed, because if your agents succeed, then your brokerage will continue to grow and succeed from that.
The last 5 years, right, we've been in a state of constant change, right? And believe it or not, technology, even though it's what I talk about the most, I think we need mindset training. How do we consistently pivot? And for me, when I came into real estate, I really thought that I was going to rest on my previous education, right? And that I would just do this one thing, and didn't think that I needed additional education. Now, mind you, I have 65 real estate related licenses, designations, and certifications, because I came in and I'm like, oh, I need more education, right? That pre-license course did not teach our real estate agents how to sell real estate. It didn't teach us how to sell real estate, right? We came in and we was like, oh, what is this? That was not in the pre-license course, right? And I felt like such an idiot once I got my license, because I quickly realized I didn't know anything. And I was like, oh, I better go and take some of these designations and certifications. And so the reason I'm able to be here 20 some years later is because of the ABR class, because the pre-license course, when they sitting at home at night and they believe real estate is going to change their lives, that pre-license course is not going to teach you how to sell real estate. And that's why they're with you, Chip, and you, Donnie, and they were with you, Jay, at your previous companies, because we all believe in training. And we know now, hey, we have to consistently educate ourselves and educate the people around us. But mindset right now, I don't think there's another industry that has been as beat up as real estate has been for 5 consecutive years. and we got to love on our people. We have to instill a sense of work ethic. You can't go close today and go to Tulum tomorrow. Like, I need you to save that money because we don't know when this next check, right? You might not get that clear to close. And so for me, it's just consistent mindset training. What new technology or trend do you believe will have the biggest impact on broker success over the next 12 months? We can go with anybody.
Chip, you can go ahead. Looks like you were gonna go.
I guess just generally, and I hate to use the word artificial intelligence because it's not anything new, right? It's been around for how many years now? It's essentially a buzzword. But I think you'll see more of that in every tool that we're using. I mean, we're looking in our marketing department. How do we automate some of our listing collateral? In accounting, how do we automate our processes? With pulling data, I just started looking at a tool called Sidekick, which is essentially a chat GPT for real estate. You can ask it the average sale price, how many listings are on the market, gives you to you much quicker than it would with the MLS. So I guess generally I'll say AI, and I hate to say that.
I love the fact that you said
It
really
seems like you could
automation.
try to,
I'm
right.
sorry, Donnie.
Oh, I think yeah, no, you're good. And AI, I think, obviously, we hate to just say AI, but at the same time, like, it comes so far, right? And I actually go one step further. It's like, as a broker, I'm learning from our agents because there are some of our agents that have so many fantastic skills. Like, I've got people that are really good at Google marketing. I've got people who are really good at AI. I've got people who are really good at this. So I'm like, look, can I get 30 minutes of your time? Teach me what you're learning out there. Let me see if I can then, in turn, teach others how to use this and leverage it better. And now that there's the images, it just got released last week, the new chat GPT with the deep research, and the stuff you can do and the reports you can do and the different things you can do to help market to a neighborhood or market to an area. I think that's going to be ever changing. But, as a brokerage leader, I think what's important is to adapt to those changes and make sure you're on top of it, not to overwhelm people, and bring in, don't be so egotistical. Oh, I know it all. I don't know it all by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm willing to always learn in webinars like this. If I wasn't in this, I'd be watching this or watching whatever RISMedia is putting out or whatever local conference is going on, because there's so many smart people out there that are doing something different than me every day. But if I can learn something from them, they're going to roll that out. So we do aims every week in a different office. And we actually have a local great realtor in each office help teach one of the trainings. We do like 7 hours of training, but we have a local agent in each office jump in with our staff because there's so many different things to learn. And let's use the talents of everybody around you. Let's all get better together. So I'm constantly learning from our agents and from other brokerage leaders. And I think that's important to stay on top of things. And people always brokers call me sometimes, they're like, well, how do you know tools to use? Chip's bringing up Sidekick, and I hear, Marky, you're saying those things, and I'm like, oh, I learn them all. But and I get pitched everything. But the one thing that as a brokerage leader that I always look at is would I use this? I feel like I'm a decent benchmark for agents. I'm not the super technical 25-year-old that can do everything around. I'm also not, 75 and afraid of the computer. But if I would use it every day to sell homes, if I was out there selling, then I can pitch the value of it and teach our broker, our realtors how to become good at it. So that's one thing that I think is using artificial intelligence, but learning from each other so we're always pushing forward, I think is important.
I think that's a great point. I mean, the beauty of this business is it is so competitive, yet people are really willing to share, and that's something that's important to us
Right.
here, is leaning on your network and calling other brokerage leaders and getting their insights. So totally agree with that, Donnie.
When I think about the next 12 months, to kind of come back and talk about some of the things in which you've spoken of, when I'm thinking about automation, I'm looking at Zapier or Make.com, especially for those small to medium companies that might not have the money to invest to automate those redundant tasks or allow the apps to talk to one another on the back end. But one thing you mentioned, Donnie, was about the image creation. If we were to go into our MLS and start looking at expired listings, I can tell you most of them lack photos or good photos. And with those new tools just in Chat GPT, a agent in a matter of minutes can stage a property. And if it's staged, it is going to sell faster and it is less likely to expire. So it is a solution to the problem. If you have a problem with consistent expired listings, then I want you to come back and see if you got a bunch of properties listed that might have great photos, but the rooms have nothing in them or they're poorly staged because you can load these photos now and they rolled that out for free. Here's the problem. Most of these things we can do for free, people won't allocate the time to do them.
Right.
When it comes to money,
That's true.
Jay, because you're the money man, where do you see
Well, Marky,
AI?
can I make a point about your last question? So the
Yes.
one thing that's not going to change over the next 12 months is that real estate is still very much a people business. So you can use all the tools you want, and you should, to make, your business more efficient and improve your brand. But you still have to be able to sit down at somebody's kitchen table and convince them to hire you to sell their home. You still have to be able to sit down with a buyer and convince them that they should entrust you. So you shouldn't lose. You have to take a step back once in a while and realize that real estate is and will always be a people business. No matter what tools or artificial intelligence we, deploy to help real estate agents and companies.
Are you seeing any
That's to help
changes?
us get to the kitchen table.
Oh, yeah. It will help. It will help us get to the kitchen table. How do you determine which technologies are worth the investment and which ones are just shiny objects?
Well, I'll start out by saying that Deposit Link
I'll jump in.
is no cost to brokers, agents, or anyone involved in the transaction other than the person making the payment. It's a flat fee. So we're not adding to anyone's bottom line to use our tool. So it becomes a no-brainer. Our demos are typically, 10 minutes. How do I sign up?
Love it. Donnie?
For me, how do I determine if any object are worth it is, one, I beta test. I'm one that rolls back the covers and I look under anything. If I'm interested in when somebody's giving me a demo, it's really what I use this. I don't care if it's fast and shiny and looks good and it's got all these bells and whistles. I look at the real world of, will an everyday agent today actually use this product? And look, I respect PropTech and I do all the meetings and I listen to all the things and I look at but so much of it is so fancy and great, but it's like, will an agent actually use this every day? And can I teach it to agents and can they use it effectively? And because I got a lot of in-person trainers here because I don't like to rely on products and their training. I'm going to roll out a product to agents, then make sure that I can train it in-house as well. And it's so much of it, what I use this every day. I sold homes every day and sold hundreds of homes before I got into leadership and running the company. And if I wouldn't use it, then I can't really push other people to use it because it's just a shiny bell and whistle that I'm trying to sell. And that's really my go-to core is, could I use it and does it work?
Yeah, really similar to Donnie there. I mean, we're inundated. It seems like dozens of emails that we get every week with different types of technology. So it's, can I see a value add? Is there something that will potentially result in a cost savings? Do I have confidence in the people behind the product because they're kind of coming into the fold as part of your team? So the people behind the tech are always important. And then is the value proposition strong enough that the agents will embrace it? I mean, after all, they're our number one client to us as brokerage leaders. And so sometimes it sounds great to us, but Donnie, like you said, if the agents aren't going to use it, if there's not value add there for them, then it's essentially a pointless add-on.
What is one
Absolutely.
thing you would do differently today than when you started real estate as the result of technology?
Well, I would call Mark. He
start.
has all the answers.
Yeah.
I didn't know you back then,
That's a
Marky.
good one.
You didn't know me then. Well, look, we're gonna be friends now.
That's right.
That's a good one. No, I mean, I would take that 9113 referenced earlier, that building up the relationships and trying to get the repeat business and referrals. So use technology to make sure that I had the CRMs, the stuff set up. They got to have everybody in this world cares about one thing: the value of their house. You've got to make sure you're providing them an effective, really pretty value of their house on their neighborhood once a month. You want to be their go-to person that they get that information from. So I'd make sure I'm doing that. I'd make sure I'm putting in other ticklers to stay connected to my client database as I build up that database. And then I would use that technology to make sure I was much more in my CRM than I was at the beginning. I mean, obviously we have so many more tools than we used to have. I mean, we had to go around and pick words from every listing before. We didn't even know who accessed our lockbox 20 years ago. Electronic signatures, having to drive around town just to get signatures now. I mean, the fact that realtors complain about I'm on my soapbox here, but how harder they had it and we had at the beginning of our careers, then how much technology lets us leverage and make our job easier now is tremendously different. But I would really focus on the customer support aspect. Am I a Real Scout or something like that to build that relationship? Am I following a CRM? Am I giving market snapshots? Am I staying relevant and a part of my sphere of influence's life? If I am, I'm going to keep getting their business and keep getting the referrals. If I'm not, then it's going to somebody else, and somebody else deserves it more than I do.
Yeah.
I'm laughing. Oh, I'm laughing. Chip, and you might remember this because you're multi-generational in the business. When we had to go back to the office to the fax machine to get the silky paper, to cut the paper, and then put encyclopedia so the paper would lay down so we could barely read the sheet of paper. But Chip, go right ahead.
I remember hearing stories. Wasn't in it quite yet. We talked a bit
Chip
about
was a baby back then, Marky. I don't remember fax.
So
I had faxed many contracts, not anymore.
Not anymore.
When I first started in the business, it was I think about 12 years ago now. I was very much a secret agent. So we've talked a bit on this webinar about social media and video. And so that's one thing I would have changed, is to not try to keep that personal and professional life separate on social media. And I think it's a necessary evil. Most agents haven't necessarily built their business on social media, but it's a necessary layer to their business. And so in that, I'd say you need to be relevant. You need to focus on storytelling, moving away from static posts, and be relatable. They want to see both sides of you.
Jay?
So I started in the business in 1993, pre-internet, renting apartments in Boston. And I was, posting on college cork boards around, Northeastern University and Boston University with apartment listings, and relying on the Boston Globe classifieds and the phone. That was it. There was no internet. There was no MLS. We had a service called Link, which was like a book that they would print every month with listings, and then you would call like the management company to see if the apartment was still available. So I wouldn't change anything because I developed good habits from that experience, right? The importance of calling people and personal touch. And I remember like rollerblading around Boston when I first got my real estate license and putting flyers on people's windshields, that I was available to rent their apartments and help them, sell a home. So that led me to my journey with Deposit Link, right? Because I understand I've sold almost $1 billion in real estate in my career, and I understand firsthand what the real inefficiencies are that needed to be solved. And that's why we are here today, and we have thousands of brokerages across the country using our platform to do the most important thing a business can do, which is collect money, right? There's nothing more important, Donnie, to Sampson Real Estate than collecting money and caring for your agents.
Can I plug you for a minute, Jay?
Yes.
Okay. before I relocated to Florida, I was with Hunt Real Estate in New York, who's a customer of Deposit Link. And when I was there, we were at the peak of the market. I mean, things were moving fast. And the way the contract's written is an earnest funds deposit needs to be given within 2 days of acceptance. And the majority of those were via check. Well, when you're in a hot market like that, and the seller gets a better offer, they're looking for every reason to get out of the contract. So if you don't have the check within 2 days, you could potentially be booted out. So Deposit Link was one of the solutions that we had used to make sure that we were getting our payment in on time.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Chip. I appreciate that. We've heard, thousands of testimonials like that, and it's great to hear.
Jay, we want to thank you
Well,
and
I was thinking about having the $10,000 check. But... Go ahead, sorry.
No problem. So Jay, we want to thank you and Deposit Link for being a sponsor today. We hope that real estate brokers learned something new and truly enjoyed their time with us today. We hope that you get a return on your time and that your time was spent well.
Thank you, Marky. You're the best. This has been
Well,
really
thank you.
enjoyable. Nice meeting you, Chip and Donnie, and look forward to doing business in the future, hopefully.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you
Bye-bye,
all.
guys.
Everybody. Thanks, Marky.
Thanks for joining, everyone.